In this video, we're going to show you how to set up the AI-enhanced reflections. These are a feature that prompt learner with intelligent suggestions based on their previous progress to kickstart their thinking and personalize their learning experience. And it's excellent for anyone who's looking to enhance student engagement and foster an environment of active, reflective learning. In this video, what we're going to do is set up an example values questionnaire where we prompt the learner to think about their values and how they impact on their lives. So we're going to create some structured questions with some AI suggestions to help them formulate that thinking. So under the left-hand menu here, under Reflections, we're going to click into here, and this is where we create and manage our AI-enhanced reflections. We're going to create a new AI-enhanced reflection here, and I'm going to call this one Values Questionnaire. And this is mainly a title that's for your own reference. The learner doesn't actually see this. This is just so that you can find it in the menus and things like that. We can create some guidelines for how we want the reflections to, or any AI suggestions to appear. So we'll say, make suggestions appear in clear, concise English. And you might want to include other things about how you want the suggestions to appear. I'll say they should be inspirational and see what comes out of that one. We can amend the wording of certain bits. So things like where you have a field that has AI suggestions available, you can choose what the button says. So by default, this will say generate suggestion, but I'll say maybe generate with AI as an example of something that's amending that. And here is where we can create the fields. So these are the questions that we're asking the learner to reflect on. So we give each of these an ID, and this can be made up of any letters or numbers. So I'll call this one values 1, for example. We can choose between two different types of field. Editor is kind of a interface where people can type and change the formatting of text, add bold, colors, line breaks, and things like that via an editor. And there's also a single line. So if you just wanted people to reply with perhaps one word or one sentence, you might just have a single line just to simplify things. I'm going to use editor here. And the prompt is where we ask them the questions. So I'm going to say here, if you could invite 6 famous guests to a dinner party, living or not, real or fictional, who would they be? So this is a question here. So this is where we put the question. If we want to provide some additional guidance here and say something like, they can be living or dead, you can add that, and that just appears below the question. I'm going to add a new one. I'll call this values 2, another editor field. And this is going to say, what do you consider to be the personal values you live by? And what we're going to do is suggest that based on what they have answered in the previous question. So we'll say, based on my suggested, I'm putting this in the wrong box. Based on my based on my dinner guests, suggest 5 values that I might live by. So we're asking AI to suggest my values based on who my dinner guests are. The next field, I'll just call this values 3. We'll put it as another editor field, and I'll say, what are the biggest challenges of your life? And this is again something that we'll ask the learner to reflect on we won't provide any AI suggestions for this one. The next one will say values for another editor, and we'll say, how could your values support you in overcoming these challenges? And this is another one we're going to use AI to suggest. So we'll say, based on the user's values, what values, how might their values support them in overcoming challenges? And finally, we'll add another one, values 5, another editor field here. And in this instance, we're going to say, how could your values prevent you from overcoming these challenges? And we'll copy that and say, based on the user's values, how might their values prevent them from overcoming challenges? So we've created 5 fields here, and we're going to publish them. Now they're created, what we need to do is insert those into some content, and they can be inserted into any public-facing WordPress content, such as posts, pages, and if you've got LearnDash or Lifter LMS installed, something like that, an online course LMS. And we can do this either by copying individual fields, or we can just copy all of these at once. And I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to copy all of the reflective fields from this reflection into a page. So I'm just going to call this page values questionnaire. And I'm going to paste in those reflective fields here. Now, these could appear across multiple pages, so they don't all have to appear on the same page. Equally, you could have multiple pages of your online course potentially and spread them out across the content. I'm going to click Publish now, and we're going to view this page, and we'll see our reflective fields in here. So let's take a look at how this works. I've got some example answers here. So if you could invite 6 famous dinner guests, I'm just going to paste in 6 here. So we've got Barack Obama, Richard Branson, Mary Anning, Bear Grylls, Wim Hof, and Lady Gaga. I'm just going to save that now. Now what we can do, we can either add our personal values here ourselves, or we've got the option to generate this with AI. So I'm going to click on that button now, and based on my previous response, it's going to suggest some personal values that I might live by, given that my perfect dinner guests are these people. And it's saying leadership, curiosity, resilience, authenticity, and wellness. So we can save those now. Again, we can say what our biggest challenges are in life. And I've just got some common ones here: prioritizing my time, doing more of what I want to do, looking after my physical health. I can say that those are my biggest challenges. And now, given that it knows our values and what our challenges are, it can suggest how our values might support us in overcoming those challenges. So what this is doing is overcoming the sort of blank canvas syndrome here. So if someone was asked that question, how could your values support you in overcoming these challenges? Often it's quite difficult to think of what to say here. Whereas with the inclusion of AI suggestions, we can shortcut that a bit. We can say, leadership will help us with this, curiosity will help us with this. And I can amend these if I want to and say it will also help with X, Y, Z. But, that has helped me to think through these questions. And we'll just do this with the last option here. So we'll say, how could the values prevent us from overcoming these challenges? And again, that is going to make some suggestions based on the previous responses that we've had. So as I mentioned previously, these fields don't necessarily have to all appear on the same page, so you can spread them among your content and it will still be able to reference previous responses that the user has put in. So now we've got to the end of a fairly reflective questionnaire there with the help of AI to improve our thinking and help us with what we are going to put into these responses.